So, about a year ago, I bought a shiny 1998 Honda Accord Coupe for $600. No, that's not it. Okay, it's not exactly shiny, and it's got a fat dent in the back, and more dents elsewhere. Oh well, it runs good, right? Right, so you see, I bought it from a sorcerer, apparently. I don't know what he did to it, but it ran great when I bought it. But when I got home, well, the transmission pretty much instantly pooped out on me. Great. I wish I had a video of it driving like this. It did move down the road, but just with a lot of terrible kicks with every single shift. I found out the hard way that the transmissions in these cars are just notoriously bad. They're pretty much the Harbor Freight of automatic transmissions. A sane person would have accepted defeat and sold the car at a loss, but I'm no sane man. I decided to try my hand at rebuilding this transmission. Never mind that people on Honda forums said professional shops fuck up rebuilds of these all the time. Never mind that the most mechanic work I'd ever done was changing the brakes. Never mind that I didn't have a driveway, or a garage, or even a flat surface to work on. Forget it. I had the will. But being that I had next to none of the correct supplies I needed, this turned out to be a story of jank. I was blessed enough to have this little carport to work under. It's the little things. So, I got some 3/4 plywood and jacked this puppy up. And as the helms manual told me to securely support the vehicle, I put it on some jack stands. Wait, are those Harbor Freight 3-ton jack stands with item number 61196? The ones that were recently recalled for falling on people? Yep, those are the ones. No more than a week after I got done working under this car did these things get recalled. Boy, I guess I got lucky there. Never trust the hazard fart with your life. Now, for some non-life-threatening jank. When I was getting close to dropping the transmission out, the manual called for a special mount to hook to the engine and support it. I'm not about that 150 plus life, so I rigged this absolute horror. The front beam I just took out from underneath the car, a couple bricks, a 2x4 held by one of the front beam bolts, an old open-end wrench, an old adjustable wrench, and a C-clamp. It's sturdy as hell. Okay, yeah, it didn't work. I don't know why I thought it would. You can stop laughing at me. In the end, I just propped up the engine from underneath with my jack on one of the wheels. Speaking of my jack, it didn't get the car high enough for the transmission to roll out. So, I used this old jack, which is slightly taller, and some bricks just to get it to barely clear. This put those sketchy jack stands on their last tooth. That's some hindsight pucker factor. This transmission jack is one of the few actual tools I got for this. I figured I would have to get another jack anyways, so I might as well get one made for sitting transmissions on instead of trying to rig something. Sweet, I got the fucker out. Now what? Now to the kitchen, of course. I played musical plywood all the way down my yard to my back door. And plopped that fucker right on a janky wood table I made. I had to make this table taller than my moped because, well, I don't have a lot of space in this house. The most janky piece of shit I have ever fucking seen. The only problem was that it was kind of tall, and I had to stand on a step stool lots of the time. Okay, not the only problem. It was dark as hell, with the only light behind me. So, I rigged up this beauty with my girlfriend's tripod to hold a shop light, and the GoPro since I was filming this whole process. You can hardly tell I'm not a professional. Another problem. I didn't really like the prospect of transmission fluid dripping all over my kitchen floor. I wanted to use a plastic tote of some sort, but I couldn't find one that would fit the transmission. Big brain time? I cut one in half and used a tarp. This worked, but ended up leaking a little bit. Nothing major. And I was off. I got me a helms manual that had lots of information, albeit incomplete and sometimes incorrect. But more helpful were videos by Hiram on the YouTube channel Automatic Transmission. I'd undoubtedly have failed without him. So, first thing when I removed the end cover, there were 4 gears that needed pulled off. They were press fit onto the shaft splines and required a massive amount of force to get off, especially the park gear. That's another tool I need to buy. Just kidding. I rented a harmonic balancer puller from O'Reilly's. Except the bolts didn't have the right threads, and I couldn't find any bolts with the right threads that were long enough. So, I got to rigging. Some nuts and bolts and a couple cuts of aluminum square stock, and I was good to go. It was ugly, and yeah, I'm as surprised as you are that it actually worked. Sweet. So, I managed to get this thing the rest of the way apart without much more jankiness. I did buy a spring compressor for the clutch springs because these springs are super powerful, and I didn't like the idea of losing a tooth or an eye because I wanted to save a few pesos. A Chinese tool was only 40 bucks. This thing was dirty as hell. Muck everywhere. I didn't really get a shot that does it justice. These are my frictions. In case you don't know, they're not supposed to be bare metal like that. Metal on metal, heat them up, and they warped, and also put some heat damage on the clutch drum. Luckily though, all my bearings were just fine. If I had driven it in this condition much longer, I don't think that would have been the case. Next, I had to clean everything. Transmission shops use the big parts washers. It's basically a big-ass dishwasher with really hot water. I don't even have a regular dishwasher. Some hobbyists use a parts washer filled with solvents. Pretty much a tub and a sprayer with chemicals. And I wasn't about to buy one of those, nor would I have anywhere to put it. So I tapped once again into my love of plastic totes. You so fucking precious when you smile. Got me some mineral spirits, used an old toothbrush and a paintbrush for bigger stuff, and got to work cleaning all the 200 some parts. When a part was clean and dry, I put some transmission fluid on it and packed it away in a Ziploc bag to protect it from dust. This cleaning was really the absolute worst part of this whole rebuild, but there was no turning back now. So, I have a love-hate relationship with Harbor Freight. On one hand, I'm cheap as hell. Tools are expensive, man, so I love the place for their cheap tools. On the other hand, they have crossed me too many times. Two things you should never trust Harbor Freight for: your life and anything that requires precision. Unfortunately for me, I was about to find out why the latter is true. I was beginning the process, putting all the pieces back together, and I got a Harbor Freight torque wrench to get precise torques on all the bolts. 4 bolts in, and the fucker didn't click. Knowing what I know today, I would have stopped and backed off, but I wasn't experienced with how 9 or 13 foot-pounds felt in my hands. I didn't think that the tool could be all that wrong. Big mistake. I twisted a bolt past tight, and it stretched the threads right out. I can still feel the pain just watching this clip.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never.
Luckily, I didn't take it so far as to snap it in two, so I was able to back it out. I put a trash bag over my work and wait a week for the new bolt to come. And I shelled out for a more reliable torque wrench. After that, the rest of the assembly went surprisingly well. I put the transmission back on the jack and did musical plywood once again back out to the car. I decided not to film putting it back in because it's just the reverse of taking it out, and also I'm lazy. But I really wish I had, because I didn't get a clip of the last major jank moment. While I was trying to get the transmission lined up to the engine, it fell right off the jack, scraped my arm, and came millimeters from crushing my hand. Kinda lucky to not have broken my hand, but unfortunately, it broke one of the solenoids and bent a feed pipe. Actually, pretty minimal damage, and I was able to find both the parts at Pick and Pull. And that's about it for the major jank moments of this bitchin' kitchen transmission rebuild. When I decided to make this video, I thought there were more. There were a few small things here and there, like using a glove and a rubber band to cover up the air intake, or paper towels to stop the cooler tubes, propping the case up with a spanner so it could drain, using a razor blade to remove the old seals, not being able to get one of the bearings out of the case, putting a bearing in the freezer to get it to fit back into the case, using my girlfriend's hairdryer to dry the parts after washing, and the fact that my entire house turned into a transmission shop for a month. Big shout out to my amazing girlfriend who put up with our kitchen looking like this, as well as the rebuild kit and torque converter chilling in the living room, and tools blocking the entire walkway, and zero counter space at times. I guess our final jank is that this rebuild wasn't a perfect fix. There are still some remnants of the problems that it originally had. Just some light kicks when shifting gears. However, it fully drives no problem, and I've had worse transmission problems in a daily driver that I paid 10 grand for. Rest in peace to my Buick. Rebuilding this transmission may have been a bit stupid, as this car isn't even worth that much, but I don't regret it. Even if I hadn't been successful, I'd still be happy I did it. I've always loved taking things apart to see how they worked, and this is no exception. I had a lot of fun doing this, even through the occasional frustration, and I learned a lot. If given the opportunity, I think I'd do it again, although hopefully I would have something like a garage to work in. If you're considering doing a rebuild on one of these transmissions, watch my other videos for a more detailed walkthrough. But more importantly, watch some videos by Hiram. And actually, don't watch my videos, because I wouldn't want to mislead you on anything. Peace.